Friends, Unit 7 contains bibliometrics in assessing productivity and impact of research. In the introductory part, just I want to brief, in short, the two books authored by D'Sola Price, Science Since Babylon and Little Science, Big Science, published in 1961 and 1963, respectively, made a beginning for the quantitative measure of scientific growth, productivity, and their impact. Bibliometric criteria for evaluating research productivity include scientific productivity, quality of the productivity, how much the work of an individual group or organization is cited, the reputation of the publisher. Impact may be judged by the rate of adoption of products and techniques and by various measures of quality of the information activities. All these things you will find in detail in this Unit 7.
Table 1 indicates the average H index of these 20 authors during 1999 to 2008 was 5.85. Only 4 authors have scored the H index value more than the average value of all authors. These authors are Niranjana Murthy with H index value of 41, followed by Amina Bhavi 28, Sopi Math 7 and Kulkarni 6. Table 1 indicates the average H index of these 20 authors during 1999 to 2008 was 5.85. Only 4 authors have scored the H index value more than the average value of all authors. These authors are Niranjana Murthy with H index value of 41, followed by Amina Bhavi 28, Sopi Math 7 and Kulkarni 6. The impact of research and ranking of journals. Journals are an important vehicle for scholarly communication. Gard and Rao 9 observed that impact factors are widely used to rank and evaluate journals. They are also often used inappropriately as surrogates in evaluation exercise. The impact factors for ranking journal was first used for the inclusion of journal in Science Citation Index, that is SCI, and the originator of SCI warns against the discriminate use of this data. Lancaster has given some possible criterions for the evaluation of scholarly journals as below. Size include number of papers, number of pages, and number of words. Circulations, users, impact, citation per paper, immediacy and influence, age of sources cited, exclusiveness, coverage in database, may be in abstracting and indexing services. The impact factor is generally calculated on the basis of a 3-year period. For example, the 2007 impact factor for a journal would be calculated as follows. A is equal to number of times article published in 2005 and 2006 were cited in tracted journal during 2007. B is equal to number of articles published in 2005 and 2006. Impact factor 2007 is equal to A divided by B. There are some citics to this. Institute of Scientific Information, that is ISI, Thomson Reuters excludes certain article types such as news items, correspondence and errata from the denominator. New journals which are indexed from their first published issue will receive an impact factor after the completion of 2 years indexing. In this case, the citation to the year prior to volume 1 and the number of articles published in the year prior to volume 1 are known as zero values. Journals that are indexed starting with a volume other than the first volume will not have an impact factor published until 3 complete data years are known. Annuals and other irregular publications will sometimes publish no item in the particular year, affecting the count. The impact factor relates to a specific time period. It is possible to calculate it for any desired period, and the Journal Citation Report, that is JCR, also includes a 5-year impact factor. It is regarded by many editors and editorial management committees as a measure of importance of particular journals, and to some extent this is true. Journals such as Nature, Science and New England Journal of Medicine have a high impact factor. The impact factor often abbreviated as IF. It is a measure of reflecting the average number of citations to articles published in science and social science journals. For example, the same journal, that is New England Journal of Medicine, published 366 citable articles in 2003 and 378 citable articles in 2002. Citations in 2004 to any article published in 2003 and 2002 are 14,147 and 14,549 respectively. Following formula used to calculate the IF for these journals in 2004. IF is equal to 14,147 plus 14,549 divided by 366 plus 378 is equal to 38.6 in 2004. Institutional productivity and impact. The research output of an institution or of a single group or a team within an institution can be considered as the sum of the output of individual members, so the various factors discussed in relation to individual productivity and impact are also relevant to institutional productivity and impact. Nevertheless, the evaluation of an institution does present additional problems that merit special consideration. Garg and Rao, in evaluating an Indian physics laboratory, recognize 4 categories of journals. Indian journals covered by Science Citation Index, non-Indian journals covered by SCI, Indian journals not covered by the SCI, and non-Indian journals not covered by the SCI. The implication is that, on the average, a SCI covered journal is likely to be better on the average the Indians ones. At the very least, one can assume that the international journals will give the Indian researcher greater exposure than the national journals, especially those international journals covered by the SCI. It is a common understanding that the science journals covered by the Science Citation Index are usually considered to be the mainstream journals of science research, and the journals not covered are regulated as of less importance. The criterion coverage in the SCI then can be used to divide into 2 categories. The journals in which the researcher of a particular institution have published. Presumably, one would give more weight to publication in an SCI covered journals, but one would probably prefer a weighting scheme that has more than 2 values. It is obviously possible to use one that incorporates some form of numerical value for the journals in which paper appear. Thus, the impact of the work of a group might be represented by numerical value that take into account how many papers they have published in journals. Again taken from the study of faculty of Karnataka University, who had published their total research output in 238 Indian and foreign journals during 1999 and 2008. The contribution of top 20 most productive journals is listed in Table 2. The cumulative output of these top 20 journals consists of 179 papers during 1999 to 2003, 301 papers during 2004 to 2008, and 480 papers during 1999 to 2008, accounting for 38.66%, 39.81%, and 39.38% of the total output of Karnataka University. Table 2 indicates the faculty of Karnataka University who had published their total research output in 238 Indian and foreign journals during 1999 to 2008. The contribution of top 20 most productive journals is listed. Country analysis of impact of research. In the previous sections, it has been seen how bibliometric data can be used in the assessment of productivity and impact of research by individuals and then institution. This section discusses that how bibliometric data can be used for the country analysis and to make the comparison of the productivity and impact of research by various countries and regions. Lancaster has stated that when countries are ranked by productivity of scientific papers, most advanced countries will be at the top of the list. However, India ranks as the most productive among developing countries. Garfield prefers to use a form of impact factor in comparing the relative influence of paper produced by scientists from various countries. For example, in this analysis of Latin American research, he shows that Chilean papers have the highest impact. The 312 paper published by Chilean scientists in 1978 earned 1017 citation in 1978 to 1982 for an average impact of 3.3, whereas papers from Peru achieved an impact of only 1.5. In contrast, here points out, Scandinavian papers achieved an impact of 6.4 and US papers an impact of 5.7. This is just to exemplify the impact of research can be assessed. Narine has described a cross-country citation measures that compares the actual citation received by papers from a particular country to the accepted number of citation. The expected number of citation is based on the proportion of the world's paper that are contributed by the country. To illustrate this in the probabilistic manner, if country X publishes 2% of the world science paper, it should receive 2% of the world science citation. If it receives more, it is cited more than expected. This can be illustrated by looking at the relationships between two countries. For simplicity, let us assume two countries A and B. Country A publish 90 papers in a year and country B publish 10 papers. Since A published 90% of the world's paper, it should receive 90% of its own citation and 90% of the citations from B. That is, in probabilistic sense, the equation should equal to 1. Let us examine this by computing the data for A and B. Number of references from B to A divided by number of references from B. Number of A publications, that is 90, divided by total number of publications, that is 100. This would be true if the paper published by B contained 150 bibliographic references, 135 of which were to A's paper. 135 divided by 150 divided by 90 divided by 100 is equal to 0.9 divided by 0.9 is equal to 1. Suppose on the other hand that 140 of B's reference are to A's paper. 140 divided by 150 divided by 90 divided by 100 is equal to 0.93 divided by 0.9 is equal to 1.03. Table 3. Impact of bibliometric laws. As it is well known, the three fundamental laws of bibliometric are its foundation. In simple terms, they are Bradford's law of scattering, Zipf's law on frequency of word occurrence in the Lodka's law of scientific productivity. The Bradford's distribution often can be fruitfully used to estimate the total size of bibliography and the periodicals that should necessarily be included in the list of items to be covered in a library and information center, and more precisely ranking of the periodicals and suggesting core periodicals in a library should subscribe. In the beginning and at the stage when bibliometric studies were very popular, every paper would be Bradford's law for ranking periodicals and was one of the common denominator of study in most of the papers. So naturally, this law is applied to study not only scattering of the publications but also in other spheres of activity also. By analyzing the R&D expenditure, there is a heavy concentration of manpower deployed, paper published, patents filed, processes, products developed in the core in-house R&D units. These show the superiority of the score not only in the R&D expenditure but also in other yardsticks too. Zipf's law can be effectively used in the generation of semi-automatic indexes, useful for the information retrieval system. Its use has increased tremendously with the emergence of natural language indexing of textual matter, especially in electronic form. Zipf's law provides a measure of the richness in vocabulary of the author. These techniques can be used for deciding the correct authorship of disputed works. For example, if there is a difference of opinion as to the correct author of the work, the word predilections of the attributed authors can be analyzed either manually or using a computer. Once the frequency of occurrence of favorite words are decided, the disputed text can be analyzed to see similarity and thereby decide the author conclusively. The law is also used for identifying words are more frequently used in different foreign languages. These words are taught first in the instructional programs for foreign languages. Lotka's proposition led to a whole gamut of the studies on scientific productivity. Such scientific productivity studies have been made from different angles. The impact of social changes on scientific productivity, relationship of publication, output on scientific recognition, identification of elites in different disciplines, occurrence of discoveries in different cultures, etc. The last two laws are finding their application more in the current stage of web and electronic environment, whereas bibliometrics is gradually giving a way to scintometric and other metric studies on the evaluation and assessment of individual, institutional, and national productivity and impact of scientific research. Impact of H-index. The H-index is an index that qualifies both the actual and the scientific productivity and the apparent scientific impact of a scientist. For example, a H-index of 20 means the researcher has 20 papers, each of which has been cited 20 plus times. The index is based on the set of scientists' most cited papers and the number of citations that they have received in other people's publication. H-index eliminate the disadvantages of considering only single number criteria, such as total number of papers or numbers of significant papers, etc. H-index is proportional to academic age of the researchers. For example, if a scientist has written 50 papers, 30 of which have achieved 30 or more citation, his or her H-index is 30. Therefore, H-index of individual scientist is defined as the number of his or her publications cited more than H times in scientific literature. Impact of the absolence rate of documents in different subjects. Citation in subsequent literature and usage pattern in libraries are considered as two indicators of obsolescence of literature. Analysis of citation by age of the cited documents can show the useful life of a document. In order to measure the decay or obsolescence rate of documents, the concept of half-life has been borrowed from nuclear physics. Using this measure, Barton and Kubler had suggested a rank of half-lives for different subjects. The fast-growing subject would have lesser half-lives compared to established disciplines. The above study had shown the half-life of metallurgic engineering as 3.9, while that of botany is 10 years. These time scales are highly useful in the planning of library holdings. Conclusion. The use of bibliometric methods and especially bibliometric laws have been made since the advent of the field and has attracted the interest not only LIS professionals but also a quite good measure by pure scientists as well. The best example is prolific writings of Professor P. Balaram in his editorials to Current Science. It is a common established feeling that the bibliometric techniques can be used to assess and evaluate scientific research and productivity. However, a cautions must be observed that they are not empirical studies based on quantitative data and cannot intrinsically evaluate the quality and application of the research. Now, the bibliometrics is gradually giving way to its incarnated fields like informametrics and scintometrics, which are more on the study of indicators and collaboration and the public policy, precisely the study of science. However, the long-term research output in these areas cannot be ignored and has some indication of their fruitful and more rational applications in the assessment and evaluation of productivity and impact of the research. In this context, it is important to observe not only the quantitative data of scientific output but also social, economical, and educational and even political conditions of countries when assessing them and not just taking them for granted on the basis of quantitative data on research productivity and its impact on various awards and qualifications. Now the time has come for bibliometrician, informametrician, and scintometrician to come together and engage in a fruitful exchange of ideas with an objective of promoting research culture in the areas of quantitative studies in library and information science, including the quantitative studies of science in general, the particularly of science policy, science programs and science administration, and socio-economic and educational culture of the nations. It is all the more important to give serious thought to practice them in day-to-day activities in relation to impact on the research. Econometrics, psychometrics, and sociometrics are well-defined disciplines and key subjects because of their practice applications and their usefulness to the society. Hence, evaluative bibliometric too has to play a vital role in assessing productivity and impact on research.
The students will learn from this module the importance of patent, and from that they will be able to also understand what are the different elements of a patent document which is amenable for quantitative analysis, primarily construction of indicators, and they will also be able to use these indicators to capture the different aspects of the technological activity as reflected through patents.